Hey everyone, I just want to share with you a quick message before we dive into this week's episode. So the message I want to share with you is our next certification cohort is coming up in October. It is a limited number of people that we're going to certify to use the tool of the Real Life Process. It includes so many wonderful tools, assessments that you can use, the 4 components of the process, a coaching way that you can work with people, no matter whether you're a coach or a spiritual director or a speaker, or a trainer. So make sure you head over to the website, thereallifeprocess.com, and click on Get Certified to find out more about the upcoming fall cohort. Get your deposit in, get your seat saved. We're limiting the number of people that we're working with this fall, but it might be exactly the tool that you need to bring into the work that you're already doing. So go check it out, thereallifeprocess.com/get certified, or click on the tab at the website. So I hope to see you there. Well, welcome back to the podcast, Doing What Matters. I'm your host, Teresa McCloy, and it is great to be with you. I'm excited about talking about what I'm going to reflect on and share in this episode, because I really am going to do some looking back. But I hope in my looking back, it will help you and inspire you to look forward. So the title of this episode, How a Book Can Grow Your Business, is really what I want to talk about. And there are 4 ways that I have seen the book that I put out last year help to grow my business. A year ago, we were hosting a pre-launch party for my new book that came out last fall, Do What Matters, Living from Rest, Not Rush, Using the Real Life Process. And you can still find that book at all of your local book retailers, online, on Amazon, all of those kinds of places. And I have been blown away by how a book can help me grow my business. We had this wonderful event last year that really was kind of the catalyst of this whole past year. But along with some of the wonderful things that have happened with the book, life has still been happening. Actually lost one of my best friends last year to cancer in December, actually on Christmas Day. We had our launch party in September. The book came out in November. My friend passed away on Christmas Day last year. And then we had one of the highest of highs back at the beginning of June when our new little grandbaby, Wesley Lawrence, was born. And so even though this year has been so wonderful with the book launch and the business growth, real life has been going on as well. And I'm so grateful for the content of the book, for the process that I've developed that has helped me to continue to live into my rule of life, continue to stay grounded in the things that do matter to me. And it hasn't always been easy, because as business and work continues to shift and change, losing my friend who also worked on my team met some changes in our team and bringing new people in. And as my daughter, who also works for us, blessed us with our new grandbaby, she also took a maternity leave and stepped away from the team. We've also purchased another tool this year. So I'll talk about that in just a little bit and how that came about, even kind of through the book. So there has been lots of shifts and changes, and it has just been so interesting. And I just wanted to spend some time reflecting on how a book can help you grow a business and how it has been helping me to grow my business. So there's 3 or 4 things that I want to share with you as we walk through this episode of just part of my story in this past year of really continuing to focus on what matters. That's what I always want to talk about on this podcast is how do you stay focused on what matters? And it has been a challenge this year. But here are some of the things that I've learned from this past year, and that I don't know that I was totally aware of in how much a book would impact my business. So one of the things is just that. I had so many people tell me that writing a book will be a catalyst. Writing a book will do so many things for your business. And I didn't really believe them until it happened. So I'm going to ask you, believe me, it does make a difference. It's like when my daughter was expecting and people kept saying, oh, you're going to love being a grandparent. You're going to love being a grandparent. And I couldn't really see it until the baby was born. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love being a grandparent. It is one of my greatest joys now. But I didn't know that until it happened. Well, it's the same thing with writing a book. Once the book is done and it's birthed out into the world, it is the greatest joy and the greatest opportunity that you can have. And here is some of the reasons why. The first one is, for me, the process of writing the book in the year and a half that it took me to kind of get through the whole process and actually get the book to market. It took me about a year to write the book. And I've always been very open about the fact that I used other people to help me get my content written. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute, but I have no shame in that. And that was a place I had to come to in the process. The book could have been done much faster, but I believe it's God's timing in all things. But it could have been done much faster if I could have gotten over that story I was telling myself about getting help. But once I got past that and I had someone working with me, which is part of how I learned to go, wow, I really like working on a team. And the book felt so solo at the time. And so once I got a team in place and we started working on the book, the clarity that it gave me in what God had for me to bring to the world was one of the greatest wins, is the clarity of why I do what I do. And even in this past year, when we've had to ask questions and say, why do we do this? Why do we do that? What is our mission? What are our values? All of those things that businesses look at, I can always come back to the message that's in the book. Now, the Doing What Matters, Living from Rest, Not Rush, the book that I have, is a process. It is what I would call my core content and my core message that God has for me to bring into the world. And so that has been just a huge part of how it's helping me grow my business. It's given me the opportunity to say, put your blinders on. This is your operating system. This is what you do. This is what you always come back to as your core message. And if you work in this world that's kind of surrounded by the helping professions, coaches, spiritual directors, trainers, speakers, motivational people, if this is part of your world, sometimes that clarity of message is needed to help us stay on track. And so that's been one of my overall big reflections of how it's helping me to grow my business so I don't go off on side rails. Another thing that the book has given me is the opportunity to speak. When I came into kind of this world, I really love to speak. I love to be a motivational speaker, a keynote speaker, a workshop leader, and trainer. And having the book has given me more of that opportunity. And I think part of it is because there's a message, there's a place that you're taking people through a book that you can speak about. People can look at your material ahead of time and kind of know what you might bring to their audience. So it becomes a marketing tool. In the industry that we're in, it becomes a marketing tool. I'm pretty sure one of my early mentors and coaches, Natalie Ekdahl from BizChicks, is the one who kind of talked to me about this. And it was this idea of talk about something very niche and narrow, and it will give you the opportunity later on to talk about other things from your platform. And I have found that to be true with the book. So my 4 components of my process of creating your modern day rule of life are written into the book. But the book itself has given me the opportunity to speak on other topics and other platforms and to draw out certain things that are in the book and expand on those and talk in other places and other ways, and to be invited to other opportunities that I would have never had if I didn't have the content of the book. So that's one of the things is, niching down to my message and then the opportunities that have opened up from that. The second, I think, thing that I have gained in this past year that has helped me is actually we were able to have an opportunity to purchase another tool. You've heard me talk here on the podcast in the last 4 to 6 months about the tool of One Life Maps. And that opportunity, that door began to open about a year ago as we were launching out the book. And over time, we've been able to purchase that tool. It's now part of the work that we do. And it's a wonderful, wonderful spiritual tool of helping people to discover God in their story. It has 8 different maps, and it's just a beautiful tool that comes alongside our 4 components in a different way to help people. And I would have never received that opportunity. That door would have never opened. So you never know, as you expand and put your content into place, who's watching you and what's happening. That was an opportunity that came our way through the work that we were already doing and what we were putting out into the world, and someone coming and saying, would you be interested in bringing this in? I think it works with your message. And so that was an opportunity that came our way that I do not believe would have ever come our way had we not put the book out into the market. The other thing that I think it has given me that I'll be really transparent to say was always a struggle for me was a confidence that what I had to say mattered. What I was feeling internally mattered externally, and that I resonate with people in that way. And that's hard for me to say. I do not want that to come across as prideful at all. But putting the book into print, putting my thoughts down into print, has given me a new confidence of the work that God has called me to do. It feels organized. I'm a type 3 on the Enneagram. You all have heard me talk about that. So I love effectiveness and efficiency. And it's really given me confidence as I gathered my thoughts and I got them into the book of the clarity of the message. And so that confidence has really helped me to show up differently. Now, I would have never thought about being an author, and maybe you never have either. I mean, it was just something that was not on my radar. And just to share a little bit of a story with you, my mother, who is now in her mid-80s, has written 3 books. And I've watched her go through the process over and over in those 3 books, and actually had the opportunity with her very last book to help her put it together, to help her do some of the page layouts and just oversighting kind of the back end process of the book, hiring some people to get some things done for her and different things. I think that's one of the places that it sparked for me that writing a book is not all about the written content, but there's a whole creative process that happens. And once I saw that whole creative process, I have a lot of creator in me. I have a very strong creator wing. If you're using the Enneagram model, that type 4 creator piece really comes out strong for me. And so when I saw that whole process, I was like, wow, this is fun. This is creative. I was so hung up on putting the words to the paper that I had a tape that played in my head that says, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. That was the shame piece in me that I was feeling that I had to get over and get through, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, to ask for help. So I hired someone to coach me and helped co-write the book with me as a ghostwriter type role. It was kind of a unique way that we worked together. She's now actually a part of my team in a limited capacity. And it's just so amazing to bring someone alongside of you. So if you think, how would this help me grow my business? Get your words on paper, get it down in a way that you can then use the other creative parts of yourself. I loved when we got to the marketing of the book and having the pre-launch party and doing all the extras that we gave away as we marketed the book. That was all so fun for me. And letting someone else take what they do best, what God has gifted them to do. Others on my team that helped with different roles. It really helped to build our team together and grow our team as we put this book out into the world. So, going back to helping my mom do something and seeing all the moving parts of it really inspired me that, I think I could also write a book, because it's not just about the writing process. You can hire people to edit your book and help you with the cover and do all of those things. But the message that you have to bring will help so much in growing, whether it's a coaching business or any type of message that you want to put out there, any type of work that you're doing. As I said, spiritual director, a speaker, a trainer, those are a lot of the types of people that we work with. So these are just some of the things that I've reflected on this past week or so as we've celebrated kind of the 1-year anniversary of this launch party. I never would have imagined when we launched this last year, starting in September, and the book coming to market in November, what it would be a year later and what I would have gained for it. The opportunity to speak, the opportunity to certify others in our process. The book is a key part of that business structure for us, because people can read the book and say, I want to do this same thing. I want to help people with what's inside of this book. So it's a huge part of our business model. And, then that ability to gain the confidence to say, this is what I have to speak to the world. So I don't know if you have a book in you. I don't know if you have a story or a message, but I would love to hear from you. If you're curious about what are the steps, I know some people that I could connect you with to help you explore if there is something inside of you. And now that I've done this process, I believe more than ever that more and more people have books inside of them that need to come out. Now, I feel like at this point, I probably have a second book inside of me. And that is crazy for me to say out loud, but I believe that it's there. I'm not sure exactly when or how, but I believe that it's there. But what would a book do for your business? How would it help you to grow in speaking opportunities and training opportunities, and someone out there that 1 to 10 to 1,000 to 10,000 that need to hear the message that God has put inside of you, the words that are uniquely yours, and the confidence and the opportunities that might bring. So I'd love to make some of those introductions for you. You can just reach out to me by email anytime, Teresa@thereallifeprocess.com, Teresa, Teresa@thereallifeprocess.com. And maybe this is the moment that you hear God's voice saying, it's time. It's time to write your book. It's time to have your message go out into the world. Just like being a grandparent, nobody could tell me exactly how it was going to feel for me, but I am encouraging you that it feels wonderful. A year later, I am still very proud of the book that I've written, of the message that we're bringing to the world. And I am excited to see, I feel like we're just on the tipping point of doing what matters. And this message of living from a place of rest, not rush. And it's a message that the world needs to hear right now. And I am just privileged that I get to bring that message through this written word that's inside of this book. So if this is the moment that you're being inspired to do the same, maybe it's part of, how I end every podcast, that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. And maybe you listening to this podcast today is that moment where you decide that I want to grow the work that God has for me. I want to grow my business through writing a book. I encourage you to take the next step. So have a great week, everyone. It has been fun to reflect back and just do some time together of thinking about what a book has done for my business and what it might be able to do for yours. So have a great week. We'll see you next week on the Doing What Matters podcast.